Shalom, la b'chayayim shal yashala. Peace be to the election of the nation of Israel, which consists of so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, those whom are part of that elect number, whom are chosen and called and will receive of that thawah, which is the mark of exemption from the coming judgment. 144,000 Hanabayayim, the prophets, and of course the rest of the 1/3, which is numerable multitude, men, women, and children, which are believers in the words of the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. To you I say Shalom. Wa kal halayim la alahayna Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai B'Shem Kodash. All praises to our power Yahweh, which is the Heavenly Father's name in Hebrew, his only name in the Paleo Hebrew, in the Lashwan Kodash. And his only begotten Son's name is Yahweh Shai, who the world unique Jesus Christ. Bahashem mean in the name, because we have to go through the mediator Yahweh Shai to get to the Father. Bahashem Kodash is in the name of the Holy Spirit. And of course, we utter this in the Paleo Hebrew always, of course, because we are back to our heritage being Hebrew Israelites. And of course, only do calling on the names of Yahweh Shem Yahushai is their salvation for us Israelites. Okay. The Israelites, of course, no matter what you look like, of course, it's the spirit that bear witness with every spirit that we are the children of power. Okay, so this isn't a thing about what you look like; it's a thing about the spirit that's within you. Okay. Of course, I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who are well. Peace and salutation to the election. Shemiah Mappa, my name is Amafa Mayan from the Great Millstone Godwaller Machana, or the Godwaller Rakab, Great Millstone Machana, which is camp, Great Millstone Camp, Baha Yar, meaning the city of Philadelphia, coming again with another Lamadium Ma'at, teaching little in the Ruach HaKodesh and the Holy Spirit Ma'amath of truth. This one is to cover the whole coming famine, which there's places that are actually in a scarcity of food, but this is going to come globally and ultimately impact America, in which this place is the most produce nation and will fall the most, and to the point where the Lord actually is going to destroy it completely and leave it as a memory, a memorial for what you get for being wicked. And so you have here Congressman warns of a global food crisis. Everyone basically would say needs to be aware of this, and of course you need to be aware of this because the times that we're in, it requires to be prepared, to be well prepared, meaning spiritually to be well prepared, to know and take knowledge of the days that you're in, being circumspect, okay, and measure the time diligently yourself. And because many have not received these different revelations and such, and many just go on and with the Breton circus, which is given out to you with the this whole Roman system, which they give you nothing but entertainment and rich food, in which this is actually going to attack your rich food, all of the meats and such which you're going out to eat, and also other crops. But this particular lesson, we're going to speak about the meats, cover a particular precept in the book of Habakkuk. So first, I want to start with this scripture, which is the book of Jeremiah chapter 7-25. And it says here, it says, since the day that your fathers came forth out of the land of Matzarim of Egypt, and this is speaking about the Israelites who came out of Egypt, or Matzarim, being oppressed by another dark nation, which is the Matzarim, or so-called Egyptians of Ham, which is Ham, so-called Africans, right? And you have it that it's Egyptians or Matzarim, all right, of Egypt, double straits. Unto this day I have set unto you all my servants, the prophets, daily rising up early and sending them. So it says here that the Lord, he sends, of course, his prophets. He has always sent to prophets, okay, to give the warning out there, okay, to blow the trumpet, they raise the alarm unto the Israelites of coming dangers, which is foreseen because the prophets there, of course, the visionaries, all right, as also called seers, which we'll get that right now. Okay, let me see if I can find a particular scripture that I want. Speaks about calling them seers. Yeah, this is at 1 Samuel chapter, or Shamuel Allah, chapter 9 and 9. It says, Before in Israel, when a man went to inquire to the Most High, thus he spake, Come, and let us go to the seer. For he that is new called a prophet was before time called a seer. Okay, so when a man, of course, went to inquire to the power, okay, which you go into the Rosh, which is to inquire, to seek, right, to consult, okay, to inquire. You have, of course, they would go through the prophets, okay, things, of course, in order and such. So you have it that the prophets in at a time, before time, were called seers, which a seer, when you read it, you have it here, right here. You got here, just reading here, Eid. Let me see what you got. Eid, Ha, Ra'ah, Kaya, for La, Nabaya, which is got two, I believe this means prophet, Nabaya, Ha, Yawam, the day, Ya, Korah, he called, La, Punyam, which that means two, and then Punyam, that deals with being face or before, alright, before time, right? And it says Ha-Ra'ah, which Ha-Ra'ah, the word Ra'ah in Hebrew, it means to see, okay, to look or perceive, to consider, to observe. Okay, so the prophets, they can see, and where the people have no vision, the people perish. So we have the vision. We can see what the Lord is going to bring upon this place. Okay, that's what we do as prophets, which a prophet, he just declares what is going to happen before it happens. Obviously receiving that from the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Alright, so we're telling you about the famine. Let's just get into it. Without further ado, we're going to watch this actual video. Some of the different parts we'll skip a bit and choose, but the whole video is good, or tawab.
I'm a large animal veterinarian. I practiced for 30 years. This is something that all Americans need to be aware of. The word we heard is over half a billion have died.
We've never seen anything like that. And so because of that, we have this huge hole in the meat protein global supply chain. So we're now in the recognition phase of them realizing the magnitude of the problem.
And again, this is something, it's a national security risk, it's a food security risk, and this is something that we need to be very vigilant, not just as people in government, but as consumers.
So the issue not is there a problem? The issue is, what do we do about it?
Something we're starting to see more and more news coverage of, and we're beginning to recognize, is that in 2020 we're expecting a major protein shortage globally, and this shortage started with a virus called the African swine flu.
It started off in Africa, went up to the Balkans.
And it's also spread to Vietnam, and most of Asia now is dealing with the problems of African swine fever.
Cut across Russia to Asia. That whole area is infected with African swine fever.
And it's highly contagious. It can be found in food and water, and it just, once it gets going, it's really, really hard to contain it.
It's a very stable virus that can be transported in feed, in products that come from an Asian countries that's affected. It can come here. So when people buy those pig ears in the stores, whether it's a supermarket, a pet supply store, or offline, that can harbor African swine fever that comes into this country. And so we know it's going to spread. We just want to do every safeguard that we can. And the American consumers have a big hold on this, or they can really participate in this by not buying stuff that comes from an Asian country.
And so China got this disease last August. It spread to almost every single province.
It has caused China to lose over half of their pig population. They're reporting over 300 million sows have died. The word we heard is over half a billion. Over 500 million pigs have died. It's got a high mortality rate of about 96%.
It's expected to hit as far down as Australia. The pandemic has wiped out more than 25% of the pigs or pork on planet Earth. I mean, it is a huge pandemic, and it's been spreading fairly quickly. China has failed to maintain control over it, but it's
now. So as we kind of see, we see pestilence that's, of course, being spread abroad and such, and that, of course, is the Lord that's sending these different forms of pestilence and such in the place which He told He would do. Okay, and this, what we're speaking about, is just the beginning of sorrows and such. This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 16 and 18. It says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear. The beginnings of evils, bad times. That's what evil means. What shall I do when these evils shall come? This Esdras asking himself, okay, being a man of the Lord, a prophet, okay, especially even being a prophet that's seeing these visions in the time of when we had great stature, all right, we're mighty men, all right, stronger, less effeminate than what we are in these days. Okay, you have men that is of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, masculine, okay, is even in fear. It says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment, all right, as correction. That's why the Lord is sending these different plagues and such. And I must note this as well with this precept. It's going to be the book of Psalms chapter 96 and verse 13 is the point, but I will begin at verse 9. It says, "O worship Yahweh in His beauty and holiness, fear before Him all earth." When the Lord is going to make this whole earth bow, every knee shall bow, and we have to worship Yahweh by Shem El Shai. It says, "Say among the heathen that Yahweh reigneth. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously." Yes, of course, Yahweh do His Son Yahweh Shai is going to judge the people righteous. You're going to be judged on based on, of course, you have it with the things you do, whether it's good or bad and such. All right, with us, we will be judged by, of course, our faith and our works and such. Okay. It says, "Let the heavens rejoice and let the earth be glad. The sea and let the sea war in the fullness thereof. let the field be joyful, and all that is therein. Then shall all the trees of the wood rejoice. And of course, when the Lord bring forth this judgment, when it of course gets replenished, this earth, when the Lord rains down these various fire and brimstone, which is in the form of nuclear missiles and also the form of the chariots, the so-called UFOs or aerial phenomenons, which are the chariots of salvation for the elect, okay, and destruction and a curse onto the wicked, okay, it's going to be a very joyful day, because then we're going to have a place that actually, a earth that is in its fullness, okay. You have it that the curse of Cain, all right, was that the earth wouldn't yield its fullness of it. All right, let me see if I can find that. Maybe in like the book of Genesis. Let me see if I can find it. It says here in the book of Genesis, chapter 4, and it says here, and this is after, of course, Cain, also known as really in the Hebrew, Koyan, I believe. Koyan in Hebrew, which goes into like being a spear, okay? Was he slew Abel, and then he, of course, said, "Am I my brother's keeper? He's wicked," and then he got a mark, which is he lost his pigment, okay? Got that mark putting on him. So this is what it reads. The point, what I'm bringing out is this. And Genesis or Baba Ashiyath, they're in the headings or in the beginnings. Chapter 4 and 12. It says, "And when thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto her, unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth." And so, you know, the earth itself isn't yielding, okay? Which, when you go into that word for yield, is mean the thun, which that means give, to give, to set or put, okay? It's not giving to its full strength. And of course, you have Esau. He cultivates and he does all types of sorts of wicked practices where he doesn't, of course, regard the beasts and such, the cattle and such. So all of the Lord, seeing these wickedness and such, the Lord has to bring down judgment upon Babylon and create upon this world, okay, upon the wicked. Let me see if I can get this other precept. A lot of different beasts have been in a actual inhumane state, immoral state, being get fed all of the different and genetically modified feeds, and they given the actual grass, okay, being pasture raised and such. They're being cramped in all sorts of terrifying conditions, which puts a lot of stress upon them. Okay, they fatten them up. Okay, it's all wickedness. Okay, so it says here, Proverbs chapter 12 and 10, it says, "A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel." All right, so a righteous man, one that is upright, okay, as it says here, righteous man, I was gonna see in the Hebrew, you got Tazadayak, you got Napash, which I know that's soul. Napash is soul. Yawadai, which is Yawadai, which means Yadai means knowledge or to know. All right. So you would know in regard. All right, if you're a righteous man, right? No regard, or know, I have knowledge. Tazadak, Napash, soul, a righteous soul. And you have Ba Hamathwa. all right, which that goes into Ba or Bahama or Bahamath or Bahama, yeah, which that is beast. Then you have Wa, which at the end makes it his beast. All right. Yeah, but the wicked are Rashai, they're Krill. Okay. And so the Lord has to bring down judgment. Okay. This is a form of bringing down this judgment. Okay. By and now the Lord taking away all that food, supplies and such with the famine which is coming. Or which is really it's really here, but it's gonna really kick off. Okay. And let me see, what was the other precept I wanted to get? I just had it in Psalms 96. Let me go back to it. Psalms 96. We'll go back and then bring up some more information. And it says here, before the Lord Yahweh, for he cometh to judge the earth. He shall judge the world with righteousness and the people with his truth. Okay? So that's what the Lord is coming. He's coming to judge the world, bring Mashapatium to this earth. Okay? Into this world in righteousness. Okay? And he has to, of course, punish Esau, punish the wicked and such for their different things and bring forth what? Correction, amendments for them. Okay? So, let's continue forth in this video. And as you see, it has this different pestilence. It spoke of this different African swine fever, which we know that we don't eat the swine, which is pork. That's an abomination, as in the Leviticus the 11th chapter speaks about the swine being unclean and not meat for us. Okay, it's not good for us. And you have it, that is still a major food or protein for the masses of the people, in which the people eat pork and rely upon it. Especially you have is this, like this speaks about in China and such. Okay, they rely on the pork as one of their major proteins because they regard beef and lamb and such as a food that is for basically for you say in a more better situation economically and such, rich food as they would say. Okay, dainty. All right, so the scriptures, it tells you about there being a famine, and in Matthew's the 24th chapter, even it was Yahweh Shai or Lord, he spoke about this. He spoke about pestilence. This is Matthew 24:7, and it says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence." And pestilence, right there, pestilence. All right, there's the different form of disease and such. Okay. In diverse places. Earthquakes in diverse places, that was. All right, so that you have it, the pestilence, okay, the famine, the pestilence and the famine go together, right, because it's working collectively, all right, into bringing forth the will for Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Okay, it's working for the good of what the Lord wants in his judgment. All right, so we're going to play some more.
It's a hard thing to get control over because it's constantly spreading.
Cambodia is the front line in a battle to halt the outbreak, which has ravaged pig herds across Asia, causing shortages and pushing up the price of pork by almost 40%. On Cambodian TV, pictures of another smuggling attempt, this time at night, but police were waiting. Smuggled meat is a big concern, but the disease can also be carried by ordinary travellers and truck drivers. Some pig herds in Cambodia are now infected, and the culling.
So you can see, even this different form of pestilence can be carried in various ways. And it says truck drivers, such, the actual pig itself. Okay. So this is another way the Lord's going to bring down the population of the people.
Culling of thousands of animals has begun. Already millions have had to be slaughtered in China and Vietnam, while cases have also been discovered in Mongolia, Hong Kong and the DPRK.
Banning the border movement of pigs would be one of the things that would be recommended, but it would be working only in principle because of the porous border.
In South Korea, they're actually taking out pigs with drones and snipers. They found an infected pig in the demilitarized zone between North Korea and South Korea, so we can bet that North Korea is heavily affected with the African swine flu at this point in time. So this is an issue that is spreading and is wiping out pork across the planet. And what's happening is it's creating shortages elsewhere, but we're not quite noticing it yet. In Australia, for example, they had to have a lot of herd culling of cattle because droughts and other climate issues that Australia has been having, the farmers have had to cull a lot of cattle. Their prices have been artificially maintained by the fact that China's having to buy more beef to offset the pork shortages that they're having. So,
right, so you see it, so a lot of the different things, that actually are occurring, damage is being done, struck, but people haven't seen the big hit as of yet. But it will happen, okay? And as the scriptures always tell you in Habakkuk, or has to tell you in Habakkuk, though it tarry, wait for it, so it surely shall come. Alright? So, going back to that book of Esdras, it tells you about it says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation, anguish are sent as scourges for amendment, but for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of their scourges. Behold, the various punishments and such. It says, behold, victual shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in a good case, and even then shall evils, bad times, grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Definitely great confusion. When you have it, you have different prices that's new. You people thinking that they can get things for a cheap price, pretty affordable, okay? And, still can go to McDonald's and get you a Chinese and get you a pizza and such for cheap. But it's going to get you a takeaway and such. But there's going to come a time when you're going to see these prices going to skyrocket, inflation and such. And they're going to be able to afford their things, or you're going to have to think twice. You're going to have to rely on other things, okay? And as I said, you have it here, since the pork is happening, you have Australia, and they're actually importing beef, okay, boosted by China. Let me see, Australia beef exports boosted by China. I think this is actually growth in exports to China. So actually, Australian beef, they're sending it also to China, okay, because they are actually lacking in beef, or they're lacking, which is their primary protein they eat is the pork. So, but since they have, of course, they've been impacted by this virus, you have it. They are, importing beef or exporting. Or getting let me see. They're getting beef from Australia. Let me see. I have to read this just to be 100%. Let me see something. Let me just check something. It says, according to Meat and Livestock, Australia figures China became Australia's top beef export destination for the first ever in July. Now, just so that you check, import when you bring things in, you got export when it's going out. All right. So let me get a little bit of info further.
So China's been buying beef from Australia. It's expected that oversupply coming from Australia is going to end in 2020, in which case, where is China going to get their meat from? We don't really know. What we do know is that...
Right, so you have it where Australia, they of course, they have they're okay, but that's going to end. They have he had mentioned about over. Let me see. Let me get the actual term real quick.
And in 2020, in which case, where's China going to get their meat from? We don't really know. What we do know is that just in China alone, the amount of hogs that have been removed from the market will take 3 to 5 years to recover the herd sizes that they had. They have been trying to breed these astronomically huge pigs, 1,100-pound pigs. The reality is that to replace the herd size.
Look, 3 to 5 years to replace these herd size of different livestock. All right.
Would take 3 to 5 years from now, and this disease is becoming a global pandemic. Here in the U.S., we're already seeing farmers take preventative measures against the African swine flu spreading there. It's definitely something to be concerned about, with Australia running out of their oversupply of beef from culling their herds.
Let me get that term for oversupply. So you have the term which is oversupply, which you have an oversupply. It's let's see. Let's see, cow. Let's see. You have more than enough, basically abundance. Okay, so let me just get a simple definition because this is acting stupid. Alright. Oversupply, supply, basically a surplus. Supply too much or too many. Supply and business. It says here, oversupply is an excessive amount of a product. Oversupply results when demand is lower than supply, resulting in a surplus. Alright, so in Australia, they have less demand for the beef, so they have a surplus. And then that oversupply may also be because the case of the producer completely misreading the market demand of the product. Alright, you have to, of course, obviously, logistics and such. You have to, take note of how much the consumer is actually buying. Okay. Then you just have, it's oversupply. But no, you have it because of this famine of the pigs and such. China, that is. And this is going to affect the world globally. And the point also, which I want to make, is that it's not going to affect just this protein, it's an unclean meat, that is. It's going to affect the other actual meats which you can consume as Israelites, okay, such as your beef and your chicken and such. All right, so let's read more. All right,
we are starting to look at other resources of beef that will probably be impacted, including the U.S.
So the beef is going to be impacted too. All right,
already been buying a lot more pork from the U.S., and they're expected to buy a lot more beef.
Now you have it that also China is supplementing and by buying pork here from and bringing it into there to make up for what they lost. Okay, in the midst of trade war, I must note too.
Are a lot of articles out there talking about the increased slaughter of dogs and rabbits in China to help make up for the protein deficiency. First of all, the Chinese have always eaten dog. They even have a dog meat festival. So
and this is abominable. You can't do that. All right, that's also you read in the book of Leviticus. All right, 11th chapter will tell you about that. Okay, but for the sake of time, I'm gonna keep it moving. All right, so I tell you the Moabites, obviously the heathen, they eat. And they eating dog, and they eating, of course, rodents too, such as rabbits and such. Okay, also just to make sure they fill in for the pork that they're getting.
So it's not an unusual thing for the Chinese to be eating dog. What we have to realize is that the beef is probably going to be impacted the most in 2020 because in China, eating beef and lamb are really, or sheep's meat, I guess what they call it, but those are signs of high class in their culture. So as beef kind of makes its way into the country, we're going to see a draw towards beef and sheep and lamb.
So that's why, of course, you see these abominable, the heathen and such. They feed you these pork. You Jake pork, all right. Primarily, by default, you're getting a pork fried rice at the Chinese, and you get a Chinese, right? Because beef is in their mind is set as for high class, nobility and such. All right, you're doing the dainty.
In China, because of the status that comes with it, if you eat it, you're of higher status there. I think that it's going to impact our beef market more than anything else. But they are eating more rabbit. They are eating more dog. They're getting chickens out of Ukraine. Ukraine seems to be benefiting from the chicken side. Australia seems to be benefiting from the cattle side. And like I said, Australia's surplus of cattle hitting the market is probably going to end going into 2020. I think that they've culled a lot of their herds back in Australia. They'll probably go back to normal production next year.
Right. So 2020 is only we only have December. You have it January. So 2020 is here. Okay. No long. So I'm gonna skip. You could check out the rest of this. I'm gonna skip it and get to around this and see what I got. Speak more about the beef and the other livestock, some other information I note, and then we're gonna get another precept and close out.
Population of the pork industry has declined more than 25% over the past year, and it's accelerating. These are things that are going to affect our food supply. It already is affecting our food supply just with this one pandemic.
Imports of pork, their imports of chicken, their imports of beef are just skyrocketing, and there's really no way that's going to change for the foreseeable future until they can rebuild their herd and hopefully find maybe a vaccine to never let this happen again.
So this disease affects the price of pork, but you're saying there's also an effect with the supply and demand dynamics for chicken and beef as well. Can you talk about that, please?
Well, there's the psychological part. The psychological part of, I don't want to eat infected pork. Even though you say it's safe, I don't believe you. I'm just going to eat clean chicken, clean beef, clean fish, and I'll wait around for this problem to be solved. There's that part. The other part is there's not enough pork in the world for them to import to cover the gap. So in order for them to actually fill the gap, they're going to have to reach out to other meat proteins to handle the total problem. So it's an all-in meat protein connectivity issue, not just pork.
That's going to bring, because of that, and that demand and such, that's going to leave a scarcity, okay? Because as you say, to bring back up these cattle numbers, it take 3 to 5 years to get these different cattle livestock numbers back up. Right? They're hard to be built, and Yahweh Ratzah, when they have that much time, as you can see by the prophecies, Yahweh Ratzah, it's all Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is at will, but as we see these prophecies, things don't look good, right, for the foreseeable future, as the prophecies will tell you, okay? We're telling you about Father. We're telling you about great evils, okay?
And again, this is something, it's a national security risk, it's a food security risk, and this is something that we need to be very vigilant, not just as people in government, but as consumers.
2020, we can expect the beef prices to go up because they're going to be a main substitute to pork. Chicken is likely going to go up because chicken's already kind of been a substitute to pork in China, especially chicken and pork have been at the lower end of the meat industry. Now you're starting to see rabbit and dog pick up a little more over there to kind of help spread the gap, but it is going to spread the gap as well on the protein resources between the wealthy and the poor, because those mid-range resources, chicken and pork, are dwindling. Chicken's not dwindling, but pork is dwindling. So you're starting to see a gap just in what people eat between between the rich and the poor. But this pork pandemic is going to, like I said, it's going to affect beef, it's going to affect chicken, it's going to affect everything that we eat protein-wise, because they're going to have to start substituting what protein they're losing from not having the pork with other protein resources. So it's a cascading effect that we'll start to see here in 2020. Smithfield Foods has warned about the pandemic hitting the U.S. They've warned about the coming pork shortages, and they've also warned that it's going to cascade over into other meat industries, as we know it already is globally. And this is
Right, so this shortage is due to this whole African, swine fever is going to impact the other. You have clean meats and such. Okay, for us, speaking about us Israelites. All right, so it's of course good that you take heed. In the scriptures, it speaks about this. And in the book of Habakkuk 3:17, it says, "Although the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall the fruit be in the vines, the labor of the olive shall fail, and the field shall give no meat." Yeah, the different crops, and I'll do another lesson on that. I brought this out at camp, and it's just and we have to keep slamming these prophecies heavy as a broken record and such. You have it where the different damage that's been done to the different you have the grain belt and such. Here, in the Midwest and the different areas, due to the wet weather, the snowstorms and heavy rainfall, keeping moisture into these fields and such, and they let these crops prosper. Right, and the harvest season is over. Okay, I believe I'm gonna do that lesson again. Well, that lesson for the next one about that, But it says, I'm gonna continue on. It says, "The flock shall be cut off from the fold, and there shall be no herd in the stalls." So this being of no herd and diminishing of these herds and such, this is here in the scriptures. All right, you have it here, herd, which is baquar, which is cattle, oxen, herd, ox, cattle. All right, baquar or baquar, yep. This seems similar to, I believe, the word morning. Yeah, baquar. All right, which you have here for the coos and such. Cow or cow, I say coo in Scottish tongue. But yeah, you see it, no herd in the stalls. You have it where this is going to affect all of the different proteins, all the different aquarium, all right? They different cattle, okay, in the stall. So you have to take heed, that this famine is going to happen. A lot of people are going to get cut off and delivered up to Mawath and this judgment and destruction, because they don't seek Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Speaking about you Israelites and such, right? Who, as it tell you in the book of Esdras, 2nd Esdras chapter 8, and it speaks about, if I can find it, it speaks about many have received benefits but not have known thee, meaning speaking about the Lord Yahweh, right? Maybe in it, in the 8th or the 9th chapter. Let me see. But yeah, this is second Esdras, not the audio, but second Esdras chapter 9 and 10. Alright, I'm gonna start actually up above. It says here, second Esdras chapter 9 and 7. It says actually 6. It says even so. Actually, I'm gonna start at verse 5. It says, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end. The end is manifest, as it spells in the scriptures, that and better is the ending of a thing than the beginning of it. That's in the book of Ecclesiastes. Okay, the ending is greater because you have at the end of Esau is coming to the ushering in of the kingdom, being translated unto the Israelites, unto Jacob, unto Yahweh Shai. All right, and of course he already have everything, but you know it's going to be made manifest here on earth, or as it is in heaven. It says, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. And every one that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works. So it's about having works. Alright, Ashah. Alright, our Aisha, which is work. Alright, in Hebrew. Our doings. Alright. Shah, and you have wa, that would be for his, okay, and by amawan, faith, whereby ye have believed. All right, so when somebody tell you ain't have to have any works, you have to have works in faith. All right, it says shall be preserved from the said perils, these dangerous times which you're coming into. You know, it says, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. That's the elect. Alright? The elect have been sanctified, predestined from the beginning. Alright? It tells you that in the scriptures. Destined. See if I can find a precept real quick. I think of like Ephesians, but let me see, predestined. Let me see. If I don't find it, I'll just come back and get in another time. However watches I get it. Get something at least. Let me see. I want to find that predestined, but Slakia. Alright, well, you get the point right there. How Ratchazah, I'll get it in another lesson. Or if a brother leave it in a comment board and such. Alright, and going back. What was that precept? It says, and then shall they be in a pitiful case which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. Yeah, you're going to definitely dwell in torments, casting the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahshai behind these Israelites out there. Okay. They don't want to hear the words of Yahweh Shai. Okay, they back their hand and such. Okay. And I'm gonna get this other precept and close out. This is Jeremiah chapter 5. Alright, round 12. Jeremiah 5 and 12. Alright, I'm gonna start here at this is actually I'm gonna start actually a heat. Alright, I'm gonna bring out this is Jeremiah 5 and 7. It says, how shall I pardon thee for this thy children have forsaken me? and sworn by them that are no gods. When I had fed them to the fill, they then committed adultery, and they assembled themselves by trips in the harlot houses, these various churches, worshiping these various idols, all right, sacrificing unto these different idols. Okay, of course, we're married unto the Lord, we are espoused unto the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So we commit adultery by getting with these other idols. Okay, we're supposed to worship no other God before the Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Verse 5, it says, and they were as fed horses in the morning. Every one night after his neighbor's wife. And shall I not visit these things? As visit for these things, said the Lord Yahweh, and shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? All right. Go ye up upon her walls and destroy, but make not a full end. Take away her battlements, for they are not the Lord's. Yeah, take away these battlements. They different. And you go into his battlements. Yeah, branch. Let me see branches. I want to see like a battlement. Let me check a different definition. Right, yeah, fortification, okay? Like a defense and such. They take the different philosophies and such and beliefs, okay? They taking that be their coverings and such. All right, they taking a covering, but not of the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai. It says it says here, verse continuing on, it says, for they are not Yahweh's, verse 11. For the house of Yashal and the house of Judah have dealt very treacherously against me, said the Lord Yahweh. They have bellied the Lord and said, it is not he, neither shall evil come upon us, neither shall we see sword nor famine. Right, so the Lord is going to bring destruction because people don't say that these prophecies are true. You don't believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushai, you Israelites. The heathen are wicked, so judgment must be executed. That's the point, okay? And hopefully you're edified by this lesson. A global food crisis is coming, right? 2020 is right around the corner, so you better take heed. Obviously, we need to eat pork, but this is going to affect the other clean meats as I noted. Hopefully, edify. Call on him, like Yahweh Shem Yahushai, double ourselves, Apostle, great millstone. Shalom to you, like Shalom.